What we're trying to do, and it's also ever changing. I think one of the things that Cody said in our prep call a number of times is what was true 6 months ago in delivery is not true now, and in another 6 months is going to change. So we're talking about a moving target when we're talking about relating to the delivery companies and that delivery layer. What I'd like to achieve here in the next half hour before we do our roundtables on this later this morning is what is working now for them, what they're discovering that's making sense. And that is proving worthwhile, at least for the time being, in the ways in which they're organizing internally to deal with this new layer, the ways in which they're actually negotiating contracts with them and creating relationships with this layer. And then also the other thing, which is of top of mind for everyone, is how do you make sure this layer is not cannibalizing your customers, and how you're actually using this new delivery system to find new customers that you can turn into permanent loyalists. So I want to cover that ground today. Let me ask both Haley and Cody to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what you're doing, how you are interacting with the delivery companies at your respective companies.
Sure. So I'm Haley Jenke. I work on the digital strategy team for KFC Global. I work with Ashley Travis, who spoke this morning. In my role at the global office, we do more of the strategic planning. So I don't directly interact with any of the aggregators, but what we do is try to find the best practices and understand how each market is working with the aggregators and what's working well that we may be able to transfer to other parts of the world. So that's really kind of how we kind of bring everything together at Global. But I don't directly interact with the aggregators at my position.
Good.
Cody Richards. I am probably in role for about 4 months at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. I'm supporting delivery from a marketing perspective, kind of leading through IT and operations in order to get field engagement, as well as working on our digital roadmap and some of our infrastructure internally outside of delivery as well. So in the digital space in terms of website, digital menu boards, any order point that you would see. Carl's Jr. and Hardee's is an interesting kind of model within the U.S. We have 2 different footprints. So on Hardee's, you are 50% rural, maybe a little bit more. On the Carl's Jr. side, you're closer to 75% urban, suburban. And so you have kind of this density that you can work with from a delivery perspective. So kind of managing 2 different brands and 2 different delivery scenarios.
So you have in essence 2 different strategies for delivery.
One company for all intensive purposes when working with our aggregators or third parties, but 2 strategies for go-to-market.
Let's quickly outline what your current relationship, within your companies, what's the current relationship with the delivery layers in terms of who you're working with and where?
Yeah, so we actually partner with about 15 key aggregators across the world. In some markets, they actually have their own delivery drivers, our own e-commerce channels. In other markets, we have to rely on the aggregator space. And so that's kind of how we're set up. We do think that the aggregators have allowed us to really expand our delivery footprint in markets where we don't have the labor to do so. But at the same time, we still strongly believe that we need to build out our own channels in order to build those one-to-one relationships with our customers and to retarget them and market to them.
And in the U.S.?
In the U.S., we do have a relationship directly with Grubhub. And so that's kind of the sole aggregator that we partner with at the national level.
At the national level, but yeah. You have your franchisees are all over the place in terms of relationships? Or are they following your lead?
Yeah, I think that there are some restaurants that have partnered with other aggregators, but at the national level, it's Grubhub is our sole partner. So,
Cody.
We have relationships across 4 partners right now. So I think probably this time last year, it was kind of you would go in and negotiate something with one large partner and see what the best value you can get from each other was. We found that by going with multiple partners, we could cover our footprint and then also figure out how to kind of best negotiate what's going to work best for our individual markets, and took a slightly different approach. And I think as well, we see incrementality from that because the app penetration is different depending on the market. You might have a different customer group in Uber Eats than you would in Postmates or DoorDash.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about how you're vetting these various in the various regions. How you're vetting these providers in terms of what are the key points that you're using to determine what group to put together, or what the maximum number you can handle.
So it's a huge partnership with franchisees and operations. So as a primarily franchised organization, our franchisees did a lot of the legwork early on and actually vetting what are the operations procedures and the best ways to bring that into the restaurant for kind of seamless operations. Based on that and the collaboration we've been able to add incrementally with the vendors, I would say, though, the approach to how many third-party partners you choose to work with is very much dependent on your kind of digital infrastructure and the roadmap that you intend to have. So you can work with one or many third parties. You can have a website where you take orders yourself and own that data, but then have a white label service, a DoorDash of sorts, deliver on the back end, or you can own it holistically, like Haley's mentioned for some of the international markets where they actually own their own delivery force and the order experience, and then you're controlling all of the data in the brand. So it's figuring out where your size of brand and where you want to be long term. And I think that really does indicate how many partners you partner with and what that looks like in the early stages.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to that. So we definitely think that maybe like 2 to 3 are kind of the sweet spot for KFC when it comes to partnering with aggregators, because like Cody said, we know that the customers may not always be going to all 3 of them. So we need to make sure that we partner with, the partners that have the biggest share in each market. And then when it comes to just operational components of it, we, like many other brands in the room, we don't have a single POS system in a lot of our markets, which can create challenges. And so when you think about the team members accepting orders and keying in orders not only from customers that come up to the counter, but also customers through the drive-thru, and then you add 3 different tablets. If you don't have those completely seamlessly integrated into your system, it just becomes an operational nightmare that really impacts the team member experience, and we know that our customer experience will never exceed the team member experience, so that's something that we really value at KFC. And we definitely try to make sure that if we introduce these new channels, that our stores are equipped to handle them. And additionally, a lot of our markets are smaller, they're lean teams, and so when you think about managing the menu, managing revolving LTOs and things like that, you need to make sure that you have a team that can support updating the menu, the pricing, the LTOs, the food photography across all of these channels. So I think while people may want to get onto 5 or 6 different platforms, I think focusing on the 2 or 3 that have the biggest share is really ideal for us.
How are you, so both of you raised the issue of infrastructure and how you're organizing around this. This is a whole new business for a lot of, for this world. How are you organizing it internally? What have you learned about how you best staff up and organize and integrate with the rest of the company for this to work?
Yep. So I think it's definitely a cross-functional endeavor in each of our markets, across legal, across food safety, operations, marketing, and obviously the IT department. And so in parallel, we have been getting more alignment on our POS systems. We're still not there in a lot of our markets, but we have made a lot of headway, which I think is helpful. And then our markets do have direct partnerships where they meet on a regular cadence with the aggregators to understand what business impact they're driving, what LTOs they need to be running, what kind of offers they're looking for on their platforms for some of the hyper-local marketing efforts. So I think it's really a cross-functional endeavor across many parts of the business. It's not just a digital initiative. It's definitely something that touches all aspects of it.
Is this a new dedicated team that's been built up
No,
for this? Or
no,
you're simply,
it's people who are
you're
doing,
simply
like,
everybody's
15
got
other
a new
things.
delivery task attached
Yeah.
to what they do?
Yeah.
Similar, a lot of working off the side of the desk initially. We're putting some systems in place now in order to build out what that team looks like moving forward, but cross-functional from everything on accounting with reconciliation to operations to our IT team on a daily basis, figuring out, I think the kind of elephant in the room is POS. So that's definitely something that you have to solve for in order to really get delivery integrated.
Is this sort of pushing everybody towards a more integrated and sophisticated POS system?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is, but in addition, all the data and like the new channels that we're introducing, it's just something that we have to do, regardless if we had aggregators, if we had our own channels. Like the POS system being inconsistent is definitely something that we have to tackle.
You mentioned that you're working internationally, and there are a lot of different systems internationally, and part of your job is to sort of gather the best practices from this. What are some of the things that are happening internationally in international markets that you've learned and brought back to this market, or that you expect things that are happening internationally that are probably going to happen here that you need to get ready for?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are several differences. We see a wide gamut of different things happening across markets. So we see from a commission fee perspective, we see everything from a 5% commission fee being charged to 25% commission fee. And sometimes those are coming from the same aggregators in different markets, which is a big opportunity for us to try to leverage our scale and renegotiate some of these contracts. We also see differences in the parity that we have to have in each country with these aggregator platforms. So in some countries, we have to have parity on the menu pricing. We can't price our menu items at a higher price point on the aggregators in order to eat into some of the delivery fees or the commission fees that we have to pay. We also see differences in marketing opportunities. So in some countries, they don't offer any kind of paid placement in the aggregator platforms. It's all based on algorithms that we don't really understand. A lot of the operational factors play into that, so making sure that your stores are accepting orders very quickly. It may have something to do with how far away the customer is from that store. So there's algorithmic-based ranking that we really have no control over. And then there are markets where we do see marketing opportunities like paid placement for trending search or paying for tile placement at the top of the app. So there are differences there. And then we also have, I think one of the opportunities that we already take advantage of in some markets, but not all, is just the way that we leverage the partners. So like I said, we do have our own e-commerce platforms in some markets, but they may not be able to tap into a certain day part because during non-peak hours, they may not staff accordingly. And so what some of the aggregators have allowed us to do is to unlock those day parts. And what the customer sees on their end is they can order from the KFC.com experience, wherever that may be, and the order is actually fulfilled and delivered by the driver fleet of the aggregator. So we see we see a difference in, some of our markets are using end-to-end services from the partners, and some of them are only doing the delivery part of the service.
I wanted to talk about negotiating with these companies and how important the contract is and structuring the contract, and also where we are in terms of best practices in negotiating with the delivery companies, what leverage you do have, where you're finding that you're able to leverage it, what kind of data you're able to get back from them. Why don't we talk about just the basic state of negotiation with this layer and where you're finding, where you're finding wiggle room, what's negotiable, what's not negotiable.
Okay. So I think this is kind of a sensitive topic because it's something that we're all engaged with on a regular basis. And this goes back to the comment of everything changing every 6 months. So initially contracts were very much, we want exclusivity when you were talking with the partners. That has quickly changed. I think there's always going to be a win-win when you have a media buy that they get tagged onto, or they're able to help you with initial trial within their platform. And so there's certain things that you always look to negotiate within those contracts as you get them set up. Things are changing. So exclusivity partnerships ended with some big QSRs last year, and then that changed the landscape. And I think we're feeling that now, as well as Postmates delayed their IPO a little bit. DoorDash is getting ready for an IPO. None of them are extremely profitable, right? So there's going to be some changes in consolidation that is going to change that landscape. I think for me, thinking about data as a part of that is that they own these consumer bases. And so how do we think through getting to those targets and then engaging those targets differently than we would normally with our advertising? And having that advertising be more specific to the platforms to make sure that the cost per engagement, you're reaching the right person because they have the hurdle of downloading the app. So just tagging your media isn't always going to get you to conversion. You really have to pay to play in the app in some ways. And that traditionally has been free delivery or a percentage off of an order or minimum spend, and you get $5 back, things like that.
So in terms of negotiating, I think that we are, like I said, we're very decentralized, but we are making headway and kind of thinking about how we can leverage not only the scale of KFC, we've got 23,000 plus restaurants across the world, but also across Yum. So I think that when it comes to leverage, that's really a big part of what we can bring to the table is just the size, the distinctiveness of our brand, and what we can bring to their companies as well. So I think those are the things that we're really bringing to the table as leverage. And then when it comes to data, we're obviously looking for more customer data. Some of our markets do get complete customer data. They get email addresses and phone numbers, obviously not everywhere. But I think the customer data point is really the biggest pain point for all of us. It's more, we need to figure out how we can understand who our customers are, whether it be through email address or credit card token, what they're buying and how frequently they're coming to us so we can understand how we can better market to them.
How is that picture changing in terms of what data they're giving you access to? Are we seeing any daylight and changes in the system of what some of these platforms are willing to give up? And what are the key data points that you're getting now that are at least of most value to you now?
So I think the non-negotiables that we do have are things that really affect the customer trust, the trustability of our brand with our customers. So I think Tiffany mentioned earlier, like when drivers eat the fries, which does happen, the customer is not going to relate that back to the aggregator. They're going to think, wow, KFC really dropped the ball on that one. So I think that having insight into customer complaints, customer feedback, some of the ratings and reviews that are coming from the customers, those are non-negotiables that we absolutely have to have. Obviously, the sales transactional data is what we get today. We're still, we're working on getting more customer data because right now it's pretty fragmented.
I think there's ways around kind of some of the data in terms of menu mix and things like that, getting a little more granular that you can find some solutions for. They are in their infancy of really getting smart about customers. So a lot of these apps are now starting their own subscription programs and starting to really understand that there's value in their core consumers and how to best initiate those groups. And so I think as they get smarter with data, we'll be able to ask for more data. It's there, it's just not collected in a usable way right now in many cases as well. And so as they evolve, we'll continue to evolve and figure out ways to partner. I do see them talking more so about here are the number of customers within the app that purchase your brand, and after a marketing program, here's how many customers within the app in this area that are purchasing your brand. And so there's small moves in terms of performance metrics that we're getting in the marketing space. But today it's really operational in what we're seeing and using.
Yeah, and I think just from a reporting perspective, what we've heard and just kind of seen is that some of the reports are available, but there's not like a regular cadence. It's more ad hoc. If you request it, they'll provide some of it to you. But it doesn't feel like they have a full analytics team sometimes to kind of manage that on a regular ongoing basis. Obviously, they have lots of brands to service. We're not their main priority. And so I think a lot of it is how do we get more regular cadence and build closer relationships with the aggregator partners in order to get those at a more regular frequency.
That's a real issue for you guys. You're dealing with a layer of essentially startups, and they're going through all the growing pains of startups. First of all, we don't know who's going to be here in 2 years. That's sort of the baseline of a startup economy. Their customer service itself is very iffy. They're growing faster than they can handle. Is this an area of opportunity for a lot of you guys who are legacy brands? You have experience with customer service. You have experience with handling data. Is this and now you've got a whole bunch of insecure competitors in the market who are suddenly more insecure. Cody, as you outlined, we've got some that have pulled back from their IPOs. Are there areas of opportunity for you in both negotiation but also in partnership at this stage in the delivery economy?
I think it's taking a step back because delivery is going to be there. Convenience is something the consumer is going to want. Third-party delivery is the way that's being met mostly today, but that doesn't mean that can't shift, and especially given your brand strategy. So if you're all about delivering convenience and easier ways of ordering, do you start to take this trend and push it into a different direction, into a more owned space on that experience and use the time to do that? Or do you remain dependent on third party? So I think that's more of the question is it a shift in strategy as the consolidation happens, knowing that they've had really rapid growth the last few years, but what is the size of the prize ultimately? And will that continue at that same rate? Or do we need a shift and think about convenience differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think our strategy, kind of the long-term strategy, is really to partner with these aggregators as an acquisition channel to bring new customers into our brand. But at the end of the day, we really want them to come to our channels first. And so building out more distinctive and customizable assets of our own is really the long-term strategy. But I definitely think that the partnerships will continue to evolve, and as some of these aggregators do consolidate, and I think that they are very much in like the startup phase, a lot of them, and so I think that they will become more, more sophisticated. You know, some of them are exploring loyalty programs of their own and starting to realize what the value of a loyal customer is. And so I think we have to play offense and defense kind of with these partners.
So as I'm going to move into the last section of my question, which does have to do with sort of converting and retaining your own customers in face of this, but think about some questions that you might have for them in the meantime. What have been the most, at least at this point, what have been the most successful tactics for you in taking those newly acquired customers that are coming through these third-party platforms and converting them to your own, or making sure, or ensuring, structuring both the deals and your own marketing program so that you're not losing them, they're not cannibalizing your existing base?
Yeah. So I think a couple examples. Whenever we think about doing any media, if it's a new partner, we'll do some above-the-line media with billboards and taxi toppers. But beyond that, we really try to keep the marketing within the ecosystem of the aggregator in order to find customers within that system. If we do billboards all the time, 24/7, as long as the partnership exists, then we really kind of just push customers into building a habit with the aggregator and not with our own platforms. So in order to build awareness, we do the kind of above-the-line media. Once we're established, then it's more about just announcing things through their own channels. When it comes to offers, we do see more success with doing some high-end offers that really try to inflate the margins instead of doing discounted offers all the time, which is really not great financially, and it's also just kind of makes us seem like a discounted brand. And so we try to keep the most aggressive offers for our own .com or app experiences, and then put the high-end offers on those aggregator platforms where we do already see a higher AOV happening as well.
Cody,
Similar in terms of using tagging for awareness when you first partner, and then figuring out a way to incite trial within the platform and get placement. So kind of thinking of it as any other e-commerce platform where you really want to make sure that your rankings and your page placement within that experience is optimized. So there's promotional tactics across each vendor that help you to do that. And additionally, it's a promotional cadence of figuring out what is that right promotional strategy over time, because we do find delivery to be incremental to the business. And so in that regard, a lot of these customers maybe aren't coming to you through your drive-thru every day or every week. And so therefore, how do you engage them differently and maintain that relationship until you can get to a place where maybe you have delivery on your own to bring them in-house?
Yeah, and then I think just in addition to that, so converting customers over to our own platforms. Ashley showed the video earlier of the secret menu in Australia, but I think that just really speaks to creating really personalized and unique experiences on our own platforms that the customers can't get anywhere else. Another example of that we have in market today is in Poland, actually. So they have a custom bucket experience that's only available on their online channels. You can't get it in store. Obviously can't get it on the aggregator platforms, and it's really a unique experience where the customer can create their own bucket. They can add as much different types of chicken as they want. They can add as many sides as they want, any dips they want, and it's a very interactive experience on the platforms. You can see the bucket kind of being built. It's fun for the customer. Really makes them feel like we understand them, and it's really unique to them and what they want. And so experiences like that will really help us set ourselves apart. Some of our markets do like geofencing, where you can actually check in and make sure the order is prepared right whenever you get there, versus setting a time and maybe you get stuck in traffic. So there are some levers that we can pull within our own channels to really make those experiences stand out more and create that stickiness that makes a customer want to download one more app on their phone.
Which it sort of puts you guys in the same position that a lot of publishers were, media publishers were, in relationship to a lot of the online aggregators like Google and Facebook, is that it sort of pressed them to emphasize the uniqueness of their relationship. In many ways, it was a challenge and a disruption that ultimately had some positive impact on the ways in which brands actually were thinking about their customers and emphasizing that first-party relationship and making the most of it. What questions?
Questions. See, Steve,
Really?
you usually have the questions, Steve.
That's right,
why.
and I'm not given.
Okay, not given.
This is
Who would win in an arm wrestle between you two?
right over here.
Okay, where's the question?
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. Thank you. I was just vamping. Here we go.
Hey, Ryan Murrin from Poncheros. So on the third-party promotional, the marketing opportunities that you can do through DoorDash or Uber Eats, how are you managing that with franchisees? Are you allowing them to create and manage and execute their own promos, or are you doing that at the national level?
I'll take that one. So we're still in a test and learn phase on many things. Trying to do most of the activation when we're at scale within a DMA, so that we do have franchisee buy-in and can give a good consumer experience across locations. So it's kind of how we've managed it to this point. I think there's probably going to be very similar to what you've heard from other presenters, that they look at their social calendars and figure out the right moments to be doing things. I think this is just another touch point too to build into marketing plans moving forward.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Since Cody, you mentioned this, what we see now may not be what we're going to see in 3 to 5 years. Where do you think we will be in 3 to 5 years in terms of how this is going to play out, both with not only this delivery economy, but also where the consumer might end up in terms of how they're going to relate to you and what place delivery is going to play in their lives and in your businesses?
Let me look at my magic ball here.
Do it.
I definitely think that there's going to be some key partners or like players that really just pull ahead. I feel like it's going to be a lot less fragmented going forward. I mean, it's really hard to say. I don't know. It's really not a good answer, but.
I see a lot of parallels in what's happening now in QSR to a previous life I had in consumer packaged goods, when we started with e-commerce trends and different routes to market, and then how channels started to really define themselves in different ways for the consumer. I think there is, delivery right now, you group limited service restaurants and QSR together in many ways when you think about it, but yet a QSR has a drive-through and it is modeled differently and the footprints are different. So I think all of that is going to start to change, and we're going to see a little bit, you see channel blurring, but then also some more differentiation and distinct consumer benefits coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we are, I guess, at KFC just starting to think about what our assets look like with all these new channels. So right now, when you think about people coming in to pick up their own food, aggregators coming in to pick up their food and kind of crowding the counter, people who are ordering at the counter being, like, who are all these people? So we're trying to figure out how we can better lay out our restaurants in order to bring all these channels on board and make them more seamless. So I definitely think that we're going to have to be where our customers are, whether that's if they would want to come pick up their food, maybe at some point. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
It's fundamentally changing almost every aspect of the business, and it'll be multiple moving targets going forward for at least the next 3 to 5 years until we see consumer behavior shake out too. Because in one sense, we don't fully know exactly how people want to interact with the restaurants. Haley, Cody, thank you very much. Each one of them is going to lead a panel at the end of the morning to further discuss this. So let me invite Nick Bucciero, who's the leads up marketing at Bear Burger. Bear Burger we discovered a couple of years ago at one of our first shows on QSR, a really cool chain that is very much data-driven, is very focused on data collection, but also this idea of personalizing the experience. Everything from early ad touch points all through the in-store experience and after-purchase experience. Please welcome Nick Bucciero.
Morning, everyone. Didn't trip going up the stage, so that's a win. Can only get worse from here. My name is Nick Bucciero. I've been the director of marketing for Bear Burger for about 2 years now. My experience has solely been based with restaurants. For a brief stint, I sold Xerox machines, but I realized it's much easier to sell a cheeseburger than it is a Xerox machine. So let me go forward. What's Bear Burger? We are a micro burger chain. We are mostly based in the Northeast, with a few sprinkled in Dubai, Germany, and Japan. We've been around for about 10 years now. We just hit our 10th birthday. Average ticket is close to $33. As I mentioned, 4 countries, 50 locations. Actually, something that I wanted to mention, we really strive on sustainable efforts. That's not just a gimmick. We believe in that since day one, since coming into the industry. All of our locations are made from reclaimed barnwood. We have a few locations made out of recycled shipping containers. So we take great pride in really moving forward with those efforts. So I wanted to talk about how we basically reshaped our entire marketing department. We did it through Growth Hacker, Pipeline Specialist, our designers, and by obtaining data. The first one I wanted to get into was Growth Hacker. In 2018, all of our online sales, 84% was taken by third party. So that's the Grubhubs of the world, DoorDash, Uber Eats. Like many people have mentioned, you get absolutely zero data from any of those third parties. We wanted to really strive and bring everybody into the Bear Burger website. Actually, I wanted to touch. I know everyone mentioned Uber Eats eating all their food. We recently saw a poll where 1 in 4 Uber Eats drivers admit to eating your food. So not only is that grotesque, but that's also alarming. So people, come over to Bear Burger and, they mentioned before that no one's going to say, wow, Uber Eats really messed up. They sent me a cheeseburger with 2 French fries. No, it's Bear Burger. It comes down on us. So our big goal was to really be Growth Hacker and get those guests. How did we do so? By ad roll marketing. I know I mentioned before, I was speaking with Max yesterday from Spotify. We were able to promote through Spotify. We have targeted ads on Facebook and on Instagram. We're able to hone in and really measure and track our reports. We offer, whether it's a $5 promo code or free French fries or whatever it may be, we make sure that we're out there socially, that people are seeing us. We try to offer promotions that you can't get through Grubhub, DoorDash, or Uber Eats. Just in the last 6 months alone, we were able to see a revenue of over $350,000 on 12,000 new orders. It was $50,000 in discounts, which the C-suite doesn't really like too much on our end, but the revenue is definitely pretty for them. Only for an average discount of just $4, and we were able to obtain 9,000 new customers. So now looking back 2018 versus 2019, we saw a 9% increase coming over to the Bear Burger website. Being able to have this data is very good. We're able to build into targeted advertising. We're able to really gauge what the guest wants and what they expect out of us and how we can deliver it to them. Role number 2, our pipeline specialist. As you can see, this slide is a complete mess. Our designers and I worked on something. We are just a team of 3 for 50 locations. We really wanted to see what we do, how we do it, and we wanted to see where we get our first customer to where we lose our customer to where we possibly get a customer for life. So this might look like a mess. We were able to fix that last year in 2019 and even really capitalize for 2020. So here's the solution that we did. This is our flex slide. This is 66 ways of how we go ham for Bear Burger marketing. We took everything that we do and we were able to put it into 6 different chapters. So we have our campaigns, stuff like National Burger Day, stuff you can't avoid. Our anti-Grubhub campaign, where we try to win everybody over to the Bear Burger website. We have our stuff that we automate stuff like our website pop-ups and Waze ads and just those types of advertising, into digital, which leads into our online ordering page, into traditional, which is what you see in store, letting guests know, having our FAQ cards out, letting them know that we are extremely sustainable, letting them know that we are now 50% vegan, letting them know that we have over 50 million vegan options, letting them know that we have separate grills for gluten-free, for gluten intolerant, separate grills for vegan foods. Not many people know that. Separate fryers. We take extensive training that we're out at every one of our locations, even if it's Dubai or Japan. We make sure we go out there and the training is done correctly, because the last thing we want to do is ever have an upset guest. We take great pride in really giving the best product that we possibly can. Moving into social, making sure that everything is up to par, making sure that we're engaging with all of our guests. We're taking the time out to let them know, hey, we do care about you. We do love you as a guest and we appreciate you, which goes into third party, making sure everything, like I said, up to par, looks good, and we're being represented the best way possible. So actually touching back into this, was something that I mentioned. Because there is just 3 of us and 50 locations, we were able to come up with a marketing, I would say, a playbook. We're big sports fans over at Bear Burger, so we made basically a play-by-play of what we should be doing for marketing. So we took stuff that we do here, on this slide, and we basically put it into, this is what you should be doing, this is what you can be doing. So partnering up with local breweries, partnering up with farmers markets, vineyards, whatever it is, we make sure that we want to give you the most local stuff that we can possibly do. We hold all of our district managers and general managers accountable for pretty much why we see things could be lacking. We do have a grade book, which we do, we kind of review monthly. What that is if we see our Astoria location has sales that are slacking, we're able to say, well, that's because you only did 3 out of the 75 things that we proposed. So maybe we should be a little more, in touch with those DMs, and the way we do so is with the grade book and the playbook. Something that we wanted to announce was just our local marketing. Now we're in AMC Dine-In, so you're able to see whatever movie you want while eating your favorite burger. So it's definitely cool to see Bear Burger on the kiosk. Just making sure that we're everywhere. That's the plan. This goes into our data analysis. We work with Cardlytics like other companies. I know someone mentioned it yesterday. We're bringing guests in. We're above the industry average of having guests come in for the first time. What's alarming is the second, third, and fourth. We're losing our guests somewhere. Our goal in 2019 and 2020 and beyond is to make sure we understand where we are losing those guests. We want to keep Bear Burger guests for life. So solutions for this is targeting our lost customers. So we have super aggressive promos that we love to send out. Again, everything is all digital. We have a very small budget for marketing dollars, and that's why we had to make sure that everything we do is local and custom for most of our guests. So we have our first time orders where we send out 20% off just to gauge interest, which goes into a returning guest where we send them maybe a free burger or something super aggressive, which goes into a more aggressive approach if we lose a customer, 50% off, a free meal, or whatever it is to make that guest feel special, which goes into our loyal customers, which we have a loyalty program. It's a 10% loyalty program. You spend $100, you get $10. For our app users, we have flash promos. We try to walk that fine line of being annoying and being informative. Push notifications are tough because I know if I get 2 push notifications from a burger company, I'm turning them off. So that's why we try not to be as salesy in our push notification approach and be more conversational, or something that you would want, something that would entice you to go in. Our price point is a little high. We have an average ticket, as you see before, is $33. So we have a decently high price point for people that figure it's just a burger and fries. So that's what we want to hit them with, BOGO burgers. We want to hit them with get $2 for beer. Or we had a super aggressive Yankee promotion when the Yankees were in the playoffs. We became the unofficial official sponsor of getting drunk and watching Yankee games at Bear Burger. Unfortunately, they got eliminated and the promo didn't run as long as we wanted it to. But now we know for next time, Yankee fans just want to watch them win and get drunk. So that's the push notifications have been super successful for us. And then our design. So we like to position ourselves as a company that is high in choice and very traceable. Mentioned before, we have over 50 million vegan options. Not many burger places can boast about that. And that's definitely something that we like to hang our hat on. But how we can get better? We want to get our customer profiles. We want to differentiate what our customers are. We want to send them relevant content. We have our carnivores, we have our vegans, and we have our gluten intolerant. The last thing that I want to do is send a vegan for 15 years a promotion on our elk burger. or telling them about where we source our bison from. If you're vegan for 20 years, you don't care about that. That's almost like a slap in the face. And the same thing with carnivores. We don't want to keep boasting them. I know we have, I think it was 88% of our vegan menu, first-time eaters classify themselves as carnivores. But still, we don't want to harp too much that, we're vegan. We don't want to let them know too much. So we kind of want to send them the relevant content. In 2009, we started by having exotic meats. We sold wild boar, ostrich, duck, you name it, we cooked it. And now, 10 years later, we did a complete 180. We have wild rice patties and sweet potato patties, and we have Impossible, we have Beyond, we have plant-based tuna, we have plant-based kids menus, plant-based desserts. It's incredible the way that we took, and we want to make sure that we don't lose our focus and we don't fall back onto, we don't lose how we started. We don't forget that. But something that we do want to do, and we are doing moving forward, is we're having our dual websites. As you can see with the Evil Cows and the OG website, that is for the carnivores, the meat-based. But then again, we want to be relevant. So then with the flip of a switch, you can go green, you can go Bear Burger Vegan, and there you'll be able to find everything vegan. So then our digital online ordering system. We are able to finally get a seamless transition through kiosk, through online ordering, through app and web. So as you see here, in 2018, we had so many awesome partners. We were working with 8 great partners. We're working with Level Up, working with Ziosk, working with GoParrot. And the issue with that was we were running in circles. We were going crazy. For app, we couldn't do promos, but we were doing it for online ordering. So whenever we sent out an email, we had to let guests know, hey, sorry, you can't redeem it via the app. We had so many disclaimers in our emails that it looked like a paragraph. No one wanted to read it. No one wants to read the fine print when the fine print takes up the entire page. So guests couldn't redeem loyalty online. It was a complete disaster. The solution to that was partnering up with Lunchbox. We're very grateful that our former CMO is the president of Lunchbox, so we basically had our in-house team working with basically around the clock to fix our mobile web and kiosk. Now everything is seamless. Everything all flows together. Guests can obtain loyalty online. Guests can obtain loyalty through dine-in. They can do it through mobile. They can redeem online ordering. They can do promo codes through app, web, online, you name it. It's all done through Lunchbox. Also through Lunchbox, we're able to do our email marketing campaigns. We've been able to really focus. In 2020, we just launched our brand new catering page. Catering could be a tough sell because you're already asking a guest to be okay with spending roughly $20 for a burger and fries. Now you're asking them to spend $100 on catering. But we are able to do that through Lunchbox because they were able to integrate through our Toast POS system. So with that, we're able to send out targeted emails and relevant emails. We've been targeting guests, for instance, with an average ticket with us that spend $80 to $100, and we target them with catering. Hey, if you're spending X amount of money, get more, spend less. We're able to do the same thing when it comes to the vegan initiatives. We see that you've only ordered the Impossible Burger every week for the last year. We're going to send you, hey, next one's on us. Here's a free Impossible Burger. We're not going to send them anything regarding beef. We're not going to tell them that we have half-pound patties. We're going to let them know, like, we're debuting this. We have plant-based tuna coming out in 2020. So something to make them feel special. And we're able to get all that customer data through Lunchbox. So how do these apply? Growth hacker, pipeline specialists, marketing, data obtaining, and our designers. We were able to, we saw where we were wrong. We saw where we're messing up. And oftentimes, we still position ourselves as a big company. And maybe we are, maybe we're not. But we needed to understand exactly what we were doing wrong. And we're definitely not. We take ourselves seriously, but not too seriously in the sense that we will always point the finger at ourselves and fix it. And that's the main thing, is rebounding. So eyeing towards the future, I touched on it before. With the flip of the switch, you can go vegan. There is a vegan counterpart to every meal that we have. If you want to have a kid's meal, you can have that with a Beyond sausage. You can have that with a Beyond patty. You can have that with healthy grilled cheese. We have vegan egg and cheese now. It's made with tempeh bacon, vegan brioche. Everything has a counterpart. So that's something we're looking to go towards as well. And a little bit of a leak, text messages ordering, ordering through Amazon, ordering through Facebook, all stuff that we are rolling out this year. Definitely super exciting. It's a fun time for Bear Burger. We kind of rely ourselves on tech. So we'll see how this goes. The way that we work at Bear Burger is we just try to get it up and then fix later. So cross your fingers. And just as a thank you, I wanted to give everyone a free burger. Burgers on me. You download the app and use the code above.
Nick, thank you very much. We have some time for questions. What are the key data what are the key data points that you're getting from your interactions with your current users that are informing your growth and acquisition campaigns?
Right. Yeah, so basically we're just trying to learn as much as we can about our guests. That's the goal. We genuinely do care, and I cannot stress that enough. So as long as we figure out, what our guests want and what they're into, that's, what we're trying to do.
Well, are there things that you've discovered as a result of this process that you didn't know before about the nature of the Bear Burger, potential Bear Burger customer you should be targeting?
Yeah, so the target used to be, kid-oriented, families, but we kind of are trying to get everybody. So we're trying to walk that fine line of pushing, alcohol sales, and we work with Tattle. I know someone from, I believe, yes, you worked with it. So we were able to get guest feedback, and we're able to see, what guests are trending towards and what their touch points are. So we're able to see if they do want to come in and drink and watch sports, we'll make sure that we can dedicate some time towards that. So we try to walk that fine line.
What sort of data gathering are you doing on site? Because I think I recall when I spoke with your CMO, the guy who's now at Lunchbox,
Yes.
A while ago, one of the things that you guys do is you have a data gathering program and interactions, mobile interactions that happen on site that are also giving you even greater insight into how people are behaving in the venue.
Yeah, so we work with ZenReach. They're our Wi-Fi system. We offer free Wi-Fi for all of our guests. They sign up, and that's how we get most of our demographics. And that's how we're able to track, what guests return and what guests come back. But through our Wi-Fi system is where we get a lot of our data.
Nick Bucciero, thank you very much.